Okay, after we have processed all of our vegetables for our vegetable stock, your mise en place for assembling your vegetable stock is going to look like this. We've got our container with mirepoix and our sachet. We've got our turnips, parsnips, shallots, and red onions, and then we have a scrap bin, which we will use for another vegetable stock. You're also going to need a small amount of vegetable oil and a spatula for high heat, a wooden spoon or a metal spoon, something to stir. And you're also going to need a 6-quart stock pot, or in this case, saucepan. So once you've got all your vegetables set up, we're going to go ahead and turn our heat on. And we are going to add our oil. And we're going to give that oil about 15 to 30 seconds to heat up. And what we're going to do is called sweating. In other words, we're just going to lightly saute all of our vegetables. And what this will do is help bring out some flavor so that when we add our liquid, our vegetable stock will have a really nice aroma and flavor. So as this pot heats up, your oil should get a little bit thinner, and it should start to shimmer a little bit. And when it shimmers, then we know it's pretty close to done. So we're going to go ahead and dump in our parsnips, our turnips, red onions, and shallots. And then we're also going to dump in our mirepoix. But we are not going to dump in our sachet at this point. That'll be the last thing we put in. So you're going to kind of come through here. And we're going to kind of mix these around. And what we want to do is do this for about a minute to 2 minutes, just depending. We don't want to change the color of anything. We just want to make sure the oil lightly coats all the vegetables, and we want to make sure that the vegetables begin to give off a really nice aroma. So you'll know that you're on the right track when you start smelling everything. So maybe when it's all said and done, it'll probably be about 2 minutes, as long as your pan is nice and hot. Now, once you begin to smell that aroma and it looks like everything is cooking together and shiny, so we want to make sure that our vegetables have a little shine to them. That's going to come from the oil and the moisture that the heat is kicking out. You're going to empty out your trash bin of scraps, and we're going to put that in a bucket that we'll use at a later time. And that's going to leave you with all 3 of your containers empty, and we're going to fill each one of those containers up with water for a total of 3 quarts of water. So all 3 of my containers that were empty are now filled with water. Each one of those containers is 1 quart. So I'm going to add all 3 of them in there. Now, you don't need to rinse them out or anything, just because the vegetables that were in there are part of what we're doing. So we're basically making almost a gallon of stock here, about 3 quarts. We're going to throw our sachet in at this point, and we want to make sure that it gets fully submerged. And we're going to let this simmer for about 30 minutes. And a simmer for us is going to be where we barely see any movement in the liquid. And once the liquid is at that point, we can adjust our heat, and we can let that go. While it's simmering, we can clean up, we can do our closing duties, and we will see where we're at time-wise, where I may have you strain it, or I may have the afternoon class strain it. But that is the assembly of your vegetable stock.